10 seconds. All friendlies have been eliminated.
What is up, everybody? I'm Get Flanked, and Ubisoft was nice enough to give me early access to Operation Neon Dawn. And in today's video, I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about the new defender, Aruni. We're going to be going over her loadout, her gadget, who she counters, who counters her, what you can do as an attacker when you come across her gadget. All that stuff will be revealed in today's video. And as a bonus, you're going to see some gameplay on the newly reworked skyscraper that's coming with Operation Neon Dawn as well. Now stick around towards the end of the video and I'll give you my super early hot take impression of how strong I think Aruni is, what type of players will gravitate towards her. But let's start with the facts now, and that will be her loadout. We'll go over this very quickly because everything in here is already in the game, but I do want to let you know what all she has available to her. First of all, she's a 2 armor 2 speed defender. Her unique gadget is called the Surya Gate. It's a laser generating device set on walls or entry points that deactivates after damaging gadgets or opponents and is reactivatable. That's a rough word. Reactivatable. Okay, there we go. I think I got it. So yeah, that's the Surya Gate. That's her unique gadget. She also has what I would call a passive ability, and that is that when she melees a wall, it makes a hole about 1/4 the size that Sledge does, and I'm showing that on the screen right now. So she can make rotates pretty quickly by meleeing. It doesn't do any damage like it does to orcs or anything like that. She can do it as much as she wants, unlimited. She can also use this to open hatches, so a lot of flexibility and a lot of utility there with that passive ability that she has. Now, one thing they did tell us is that this is coming to the test server, so it sounds like they're debating on whether to include this with her or not. My guess is they probably got some blowback when they play tested it, and they're debating on whether or not they should bring it into the game. Moving on to her primary options, she has a choice between the P10 Roni that Mozzie has and the MK14 that Dokkaebi has. Yes, that's right. This is a defender that has a DMR available. That is a first. Here's what you need to know about the attachments on both weapons. The Roni has all the normal attachments that Mozzie has, except it does not have the 1.5 scope available. So that's important to know. The DMR has all the normal attachments available that you would have with Dokkaebi, except for its highest zoom level is 1.5. It does not have the 3x scope or anything beyond 1.5. The only zoomed optic available is the 1.5 on the DMR for Aruni. As far as her secondary options, just one option there. That is the PRB-92 pistol. So no machine pistol options, no automatic secondary options available to Aruni. And then as far as her gadget, she has the choice between barbed wire or bulletproof camera. So looking at her loadout as a whole there, I gravitated towards the Roni as my primary. A lot of people in the play sessions were using the DMR very effectively, so I'm not going to rule that out yet. But for me personally, the Roni made more sense. I like that weapon, even though it doesn't have the 1.5. I didn't need the DMR to open hatches because of her passive ability that she can melee them. So I just felt more comfortable bringing that Roni. But I think that both options are going to be viable depending on play style and skill level. So once the Surya Gate is up, what does it do? Well, let's first talk about how it interacts with actual people, okay? If you are a person and you pass through the gate, you will take 40 damage. There isn't a concussion effect. It doesn't take you out of ADS. You just move through it, and when you do, you will take 40 damage. Obviously, if you're below 40 health and you do this, it will put you into the down but not out stage. Throughout my testing, there were no exceptions to this. So Nook, for example, can't pass through these lasers undetected. Doesn't matter who you are, what operator, if you pass through them, you're going to take damage. As far as how it interacts with gadgets, if you throw a gadget through the lasers, it will destroy that gadget, no matter what gadget it is, and it will also disable the lasers for 30 seconds. Okay? And that's true if a person passes through as well. So if anything passes through the lasers, if it's a person, it takes damage. If it's a gadget, it gets destroyed. And then those lasers are disabled for 30 seconds. At the end of those 30 seconds, the device can be shot at the top of the door and then reactivated, okay? This device is actually indestructible. And that sounds really scary. There's no way of actually destroying this gadget once it's placed. However, anything can basically disable it. And then in order to reactivate it, it has to be shot again. The exception to that would be if a Thatcher disables it. If a Thatcher disables it, it only disables it for 15 seconds like it does every other gadget, and it does not have to be shot to be reactivated again. So actually, disabling one by throwing a drone through it or a flash grenade or something like that is actually stronger than disabling it with a Thatcher EMP. Now, of note, when this gadget is set on a full-length door, there is a gap at the bottom that drones can go in and out of without being destroyed. Very similar to like a castle barricade. And that works for both attackers and defenders. You know, if you're an Echo, you can drive the drone underneath. Also, keep in mind that if the lasers are set up and a defender throws an impact or a C4 through the lasers, it gets destroyed and the lasers get disabled just the same as if attackers were to throw something through it. It is important to realize that defenders can move through these gates automatically. They don't have to do anything. The gates detect when they get close and automatically raise or lower for all defenders, not just Aruni. But obviously it does not do that for attackers. Pay attention to the clip on the screen right now. I've staged this, but I think it's important to realize. So what you're going to see is me as Ash disable the gate, move into the objective, and then once I'm in there, I shoot the device to reactivate it. And now I'm in there with the plant down, and if any defender wants to come and retake, I'm going to get a little bit of notice as far as which door they're coming through because the gates do open. So first of all, not only defenders, but attackers can reactivate these gadgets by shooting the device to reactivate the lasers. And as a defender, if the device is set up on a door, if you're coming through that door, you're going to be giving a little bit of warning based upon that gate opening or closing when you get close. Now, the fact that this device does not take explosive damage means that you can set it on reinforced walls, and if a thermite opens that reinforced wall, then the device still remains. So yes, the hole will be there in the reinforced wall like normal, but the lasers will be there, meaning that the attackers have to do something else in order to pass through without taking damage. It's also important to note that you can place this device on hatches just the same as you can on a door or a window. Now, there is the possibility of deploying her gadget on a wall that's already been opened, meaning that, you know, a thermite opens a hole, you could go up to the hole and place the device there. But because you can't deploy it from range, that's going to be very risky. I don't think that's going to be very realistic, but it is a possibility, absolutely. To focus a little bit more on how attackers can deal with this gadget, I want to emphasize that literally anything that you throw through that gadget will disable it for 30 seconds. A drone will do it. A grenade will do it. A flash will do it. A yin candela, a smoke. Yana and her decoy, if she sprints through it, it does the same as, it disables it for the same amount of time. Anything that you can get through there, an Ash breaching charge, Sophia, any of that stuff will disable it. It'll also destroy whatever you sent through there, but it will disable it for 30 seconds. Other than that, there's really no way of disabling it. It doesn't matter if you're IQ and you detect it on your sensor, there's nothing she can do to disable it. A Twitch drone will not disable it. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of simple yet complex in the same way, in that there's really only one way to disable it, that is to send something through the lasers, but you can send literally anything through the lasers to do it. One other interesting interaction on the defender side is that a Maestro Evil Eye can zap the device when it's disabled in order to re-enable it. After the 30-second cooldown, you can activate it by shooting it with your gun or an Evil Eye. Okay, so I hope you have a basic understanding of the loadout and the gadget, who interacts with it, and all that. Let's talk a little bit more about opinion stuff now, as far as how strong I think this gadget is, how I think it's going to be used. And I think where I'd like to start with this is I'm having a really hard time deciding where her gadget actually excels. You know, what's the strongest aspect of it? And that doesn't mean it's weak by any means, but I think it does a lot of different things. So first of all, I think the biggest thing that it does is if you put it on a doorway or a window, it's going to provide you with information. Okay. Nobody's coming through that window that it's on unless they're going to make some sound, as far as, you know, either coming through and with their body and taking damage and, you know, making that sound, or sending a device through it to disable. And then they basically have a 30-second window to get through without making any sound. Okay. But that's probably the biggest thing that I'm getting from it, is that it's information. If you put it in a place, you know, nobody's coming that way unless something happens. Now, obviously, there is a crowd control element of this device, meaning that if it's on a door, maybe people are less likely to try to come through that door. But the fact that every operator potentially can get rid of it with their drone, to me, I think it's very unlikely that you're going to run into situations where an opponent can literally do nothing. I'm not saying it's never going to happen, but I think that most of the time that an attacker encounters one of these, they're going to have some type of resource to either avoid it or to disable it within their means. But there's also a utility soak element to this device, and I want you to pay attention on the screen right now. I'm on Oregon, and if I place this device on the big window and I play behind bunk, if somebody wants to drone me out, I'm going to get rid of that drone. That's eating up a little bit of that utility if they send it through the big window. If somebody wants to nade me out from the window, I'm going to destroy that first nade. That's going to give me enough warning that something's happening out there and maybe I can move or go somewhere else. So you can kind of see there, like, that's part information, that's part utility soak. It falls into a couple of different categories there, and I think that's pretty interesting. As far as my thoughts on how strong she is, this one is really one of the hardest ones to get a gauge on, in all honesty, because again, there's the fact that it's indestructible, which sounds really strong, but then there's also the fact that you can deal with it in a lot of different ways, and every single attacker in the game has the potential to be able to at least disable it for 30 seconds. So I'm kind of curious to see how this one plays out. We've known for a while that anything that eats up attacker utility has the potential to be really strong and in the meta. But we have a Jager nerf coming with this, as well as a wall mine nerf. So I'm not sure how strong this gadget's going to end up being. I think that for me, the thing that I liked about it the most and the thing that I see myself using the most is the information aspect of it. You know, playing a position, putting this on a doorway or on a window and knowing I don't have to watch that until I get some type of a sound cue that somebody could be coming that way. That's probably the part that attracts me the most to it. But overall, this kit to me doesn't feel that strong. I mean, the gadget could end up being strong, but the Aruni without the 1.5, only having that 20 round mag can be a little bit frustrating. I don't think we know how strong a DMR on defense is going to be yet. She doesn't have any explosives available as far as impacts or a nitro cell available to her. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure who's going to gravitate towards this player and how strong she's going to end up being. But I mean, I think on the surface, you would have to say that where she's going to be strongest is anytime that attackers are moving slow and they're executing in the last 30 seconds. If they haven't dealt with this gate yet and they have to at that time, it could be a problem for them. But other than that, if you encounter this early in the round, I think most attackers will be able to disable it at the very least very easily. Okay, guys, that is going to do it for the video on Aruni. Stay tuned on the channel. I've got a video coming talking about the winners and losers from this patch. That'll be linked in this video as soon as it goes live. You'll want to know that deals with all the other nerfs and buffs coming with this season. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure that you like and subscribe, and I'll have more coming your way here soon.